Hey, it's Form Check Friday, Los Angeles edition. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome to a special episode of Form Check Friday. I'm Paul. We are in Los Angeles. Clint is somewhere in my parents' house. We've been down here since before Christmas. We're still here, but I promised you guys I would get a Form Check Friday done. So I jerry-rigged a camera setup with some gear I brought down just in case, and here we are. So we're going to get to your form checks today. I just want to give you a quick update on what's been going on. Prior to the holidays, about October, my fiance's mother collapsed in the grocery store and was rushed to the hospital. And they didn't know what was going on. She seemed to be getting better. She went home, and within the last week, she was not doing well at Christmas dinner. She was a little sluggish on one side. And so we sent her in for another MRI, and it turns out she has a pretty serious brain tumor. And so she was rushed into surgery 2 days ago. She's recovering. But it's the type of brain tumor that is, it's a tough one. She's got a battle ahead of her. So I've been in and out of the hospital trying to be the supportive fiance the best I can be. And, but it's going to be a fight. So that's what I've been doing. I've been a little MIA online and on the Reddit channel and stuff because it's just been hectic right now. So we're all pulling for her. If you've got someone you talk to, a higher power, I'm sure that the prayers would be welcome. My fiance did just put up a GoFundMe page for her. I'll link to it in the description below. This is her mother, Andrea. She's an incredibly sweet, strong woman. And so if you want to help out, I'll put a link in the YouTube description. And, either way, if you could just keep her in your thoughts and send good vibes, that would be greatly appreciated by everyone. So that's what's been happening on my end. Like I said, it's been a little hectic over here. We are going to get into your form checks today. And as you guys know, I have not seen any of these. So we are going to do this together, and I'm going to try and get through as many as I can. And hopefully the equipment doesn't malfunction and the audio works, but we'll just do our best. So I think we got a lot today. It's been a while since I've seen you guys. So I'm excited to get into this. So let's see who we've got first. Okay. Hello, Paul. It's been a while since I last posted a video of my deadlift. The main issue last time was not using my quads to initiate the movement. I've been practicing a lot, trying every cue for leg drive I can find. Still looks a little shitty to me. Seem to still be initiating with hip extension, especially on the later reps. Okay. Here's a video, Converse rather than lifting shoes. I was wondering if a slight heel wasn't helping. Let's see. How bad is it? Any other advice? Cues actually use my quads off the floor, increase the weight, or stay here until I've improved. All right, well, let's take a look, and we'll see what we can do here. I will let you know. So regardless, you're using your quads. You wouldn't be able to get the bar off the ground if your quads weren't involved, but we'll watch a couple reps. Setup looks good. Yeah, you're fine, man. Those look great. Hips are nice and high. These look fantastic. Yeah, you're shifting back a little bit onto your heels, which is good, but you might be going a little too far back, and that's why bar's right on the legs. Let's see this last one, see if it falls apart. Dude, excellent. Excellent set. These are not bad. These are not bad deadlifts. I would actually recommend putting your lifting shoes back on because you have this tendency to sort of shift back onto your heels a little too much now as you're coming up off the ground. You want to rock back onto them and then push straight down. But you kind of want to think of having like almost like you're falling back and you're using the weight to counterbalance you, but you can go sort of too far back. So I honestly think that the shoes are the only issue that I see here. So I would go back to your more stable lifting shoes. I think that little incline on the heel will prevent this from getting this sort of swing back from getting any worse, and it may improve it a little bit. But other than that, I think these are fantastic. This is kind of going to be a short one, but let me watch the first rep off the ground again and see how we do. Yeah, man, there's nothing wrong with that. These are great. Put your lifting shoes back on if you want me to check what it looks like. If there's any difference with the lifting shoes, throw up a video of that and I'll take a look. You don't even have to wait to Form Check Friday. You can just try it again your next deadlift workout, put it on Reddit, and I'll just take a look. But I have a feeling that was a great rep. Yeah, these are great, man. Good job. All right, we're going to move on. Let me make sure I hit all your questions. Increase the weight, definitely. Any advice? Nope, you're doing everything right. So whatever you think is happening or what it should feel like, that it, like what using the quads should feel like that you're not feeling, you're wrong. So you're using your quads, you're doing it right. Just keep going. And if you continue to see that little shift back, or you feel like, you rock back on your heels, and then as you pull, more weight is shifting to your heels, that's an error. And the cue that I would give you to counter that would be to think about keeping your chest out over the bar a little longer. Think about, leaving your chest covering the bar a little bit higher up into the rep, or just, keep more of the weight towards your toes. But overall, these are great, and I think you're fine. So thanks for posting. Good to see you again. Let's take a look at some squats or something. All right, let's move on. I think we might have a new guy here. I don't recognize his screen name. Hey, Paul, how's my squat? John, squat, 180, 55 years old. You're using the novice template C. God, I haven't had a practice with these videos. 3 days a week on the 5th week of after 13 weeks of template A. 13 weeks? No, 13 sessions. Okay. Squat PRs 255 3 years ago. This is my first time posting a form check. I'm a long-time lifter, but it's been 3 years since I did linear programming. Slowly working back up. I no longer do traditional back squats due to wrist or elbow injury, though I am looking to buy a Mars bar. All right, so what are we going to see here if this is not a traditional squat? Let's kill the volume. Oh, you're doing a safety squat. All right, well, that's okay. So let's see. You're bouncing a little bit forward on those. So with this bar and that big pad, you're gonna have a little bit more of a vertical back angle because it's kind of in between a high bar squat and a low bar squat. But that's okay if this is all you can do to. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, good. That'll help. Let's watch again. So I think you might be a little shallow here. I like the nice little tap on the bar. But let me see if I can get the controls here. There they are. Nope, that's deep. I have a feeling that it's hard to see from this angle. Your stance, it probably is okay, but I think your knees could probably come out a little harder. That's really just mental. You got to shove your knees out as hard as you can. If you think you're shoving them out, and I walk up behind you and put my hands in between your knees and try and pull them out, I guarantee you I could pull your knees out a little further than that. So that means they're not out as much as they could be. And that's just you practicing shoving them out more. If I was yelling at you, you could shove your knees out even harder. So, but let's watch a few more. That one, that's the one I'm talking about where you're going down and forward. So if you watch, you kind of go down and this way or this way. So let's see here. Yeah. So you're kind of rocking onto the balls of your feet a little bit on the way up. That one was a little better. Just think about when you get to the bottom, you're going to sit back and stay back on the way up. So on the way down, you're leaning over, shoving your knees forward. the second half of the descent, you start reaching back into the bottom. So the pressure is going to shift from your toes back towards your heels at the bottom. And then as you drive up, keep the pressure back there on the heels a little bit, or think about that. Okay. If you have a tendency to go forward to rock up and forward, this is going to go to a different video. Oh, pigeons. All right. That was fun. But if you have a tendency to drive up and forward, which a lot of people do, just pay attention to the pressure on the balls of your feet. So if you feel it as you're driving up, shift to the balls of your feet, that's wrong. And the solution there is just stay back on your heels a little bit. So I always yell at people, sit back on the way down and stay back on the way up. Okay. And it's just a very subtle shift in pressure on the foot. But overall, I think these are really good. I mean, get the knees out a little harder. Don't go down and forward. That was a pretty good one. Yeah. Overall, these are great, man. A little bit. So that tendency to go forward is also going to kind of limit your depth. You're probably pretty close there. Also, I don't know if you're in lifting shoes. I think you might be. Maybe. If those aren't lifting shoes, it's kind of hard for me to tell. You should definitely be using lifting shoes. Okay, get a pair of weightlifting shoes. They're going to help a lot just by wearing them. I don't even have to coach you. You just put them on, and your form will get better. If they are lifting shoes, then just sit back a little bit more in those later reps when you start to get tired and shift forward. Just sit back, and then on the way up, just keep your weight back. Everything else looks pretty good, man. So I think my buddy Grant just is carrying the Mars bar now, the new edition or something. I just saw a post briefly on Instagram. So go to the Strength Co. I think it's the strength.co, something like that. And he's got the Mars bar for you. You want to do business with Grant. He's a great guy. So thank you for your post. Keep me posted on the progress. And if you have any questions about the programming or transitioning, there's a lot of content on Reddit. And then also you can just post your own thread, and I'm happy to answer that stuff. So keep going, man. Let's get to 315. Why not? Okay. We got a little comment here. Looks pretty good. Maybe focus on a spot on the floor. Moving the focal point around a bit. Actually, that might be a good point. I didn't even look at his eye gaze. Let me see here. Let me see your head. Yeah. It's really hard to see where you're looking, but it looks pretty consistent to me. But, that's not a bad comment. Just keep your eyes focused on one spot. It'll help with balance. But I think if those aren't weightlifting shoes, that'll help even more. So, all right, man, let's keep going. J. Chris, thanks, Paul. Okay, no questions. We don't know what this is. Let's take a look. Oh, all right, here we go. We got some guys coming back out of the woodwork. Okay. Am I zoomed in here? Oh, what happened to the video? It's a little blurry. I think your stance is too wide. I think, again, you got some knee cave again. I think we may have talked about this before. But yeah, your weight is also, just like the last guy we talked to, your weight is, it looks like you're not finishing the sitting back part, right? So yeah, you're missing a little. If we watch your knees here, let's see if your knees slide forward. So if we watch and see if your knees track all the way down. Yeah. Okay. And then they're caving in. So you can see them kind of move in on the way up. Not horrible here. So again, just like I said with the last guy, this part of the squat right here, this first half of the descent, lean over, knees forward and out, pressure. If it's going to move, again, we want midfoot, but if it's conceptually, it helps to think the first half of the descent, weight goes to the toes. balls of the feet, a little subtle. Okay. From this point on down, now we're switching to weight going back to the heels. So knees go forward and out for the first half, hips go back and down for the second half of the descent. Pressure goes towards the toes and then back towards the heels. So when you get to the bottom of the squat and you're sitting there, your weight should be back on the heels a little bit. It should feel like that to you. Ideally, again, we want it perfectly balanced the whole time, but it helps to think toes, heels sometimes, okay? If you're on the toes at the bottom, that means your knees pulled you forward and you're going to go down and up. Like you're going to go up and forward like that. So you got to sit back more, okay? And that'll fix this depth issue, right? Because if your knees are pulling you forward, you're never going to hit proper depth because, again, this is knee slide. We've talked about this a lot. So I think we probably dealt with this before with you, but I'm going to tell it to you again. Pause squats, okay? HORNSTRENGTH.com/videos down here. Sorry, I'm working on my laptop today, guys. Pause squat, bounce pause squat. You don't have to worry about pause squat. Take it down, pause for 3 seconds, ask yourself, are my knees out as hard as they could be? Is my weight balanced over the middle of my foot, or am I on my toes or too much on my heels? In your case, you're going to get down to the bottom and you're going to be like, I'm too forward. And you're going to have to rock back a little bit. And then is my chest arched up and tight? You're asking yourself those 3 questions. There's a description in the YouTube video for the pause squat. It explains everything. And I think I've told you before, but you need to do that with the empty bar and maybe 1 set with weight. Go down there, pause for 3 seconds and shift into the correct bottom position, the balanced, tight bottom position, knees out, chest up, weight back where it needs to be, not forward. Feel that, register it in your brain, and then you drive up. And then the next rep, you try and go right to that spot without having to make any adjustments. So you're playing a little game with yourself. Okay. But do those every time because you need to learn what it feels like to be at the bottom so that if you're doing a set like you're doing and you get back to the top and you sort of, while you're resetting, you ask yourself, how did that go? I felt like I was a little bit forward. Okay, this time I'm going to try and sit back even more, right? And then you come up from the next one and you go, okay, how did that feel? Oh, that was a little better. All right, or it still felt forward, so I got to try and sit back even more. But that's the big one for you, man, is just learning the correct bottom position, like what it feels like to be balanced and sitting back at the bottom. And then we'll talk about the knees, right? So yeah, you just need to, can I still draw here? Yeah, this needs to sit back this way a little bit. Very subtle shift in weight, okay? From here, just back here, okay? Just need to move that almost like you're setting up for a deadlift and you rock back on your heels very slightly. And it changes the whole thing. The other part of this is the knee cave, right? So as you start driving back up, you are going to be focused on that and you're going to stop focusing on keeping your knees out nice and wide, right? Because you're shifting. It's like, okay, I got down to the bottom. Now I need to work on driving my hips up. And then you forget about the knees and they cave in. You cannot afford to stop thinking about that. You have to think about knees out, hips up. Right? Or in your case, you're probably you've got the hip drive thing down. So maybe just the only thing you could focus on or should focus on is keeping the knees out while you drive your butt up. Okay. Knees, just the hip drive is going to happen. So just as you drive up, knees back out. Okay. Do not let them cave in. Keep your eyes right in front of your toes, like 6 inches in front of your toes, and watch your knees out of your peripheral vision. You will see them move in. If you see that, you shove them back out and you practice this diligently after you're done with your pause squats on all your light warm-ups. Perfect form. You watch every rep as those knees come in with lighter weight and you make them go back out. And eventually you will reprogram your brain so that you don't have to think about it anymore. Okay. So that's really it. Sit back more and keep the knees out harder on the way up. Also, you got this little hand thing happening here, right? This wrist is like this on top. Okay, you got to get rid of that. I would highly recommend that you switch to a thumbs around grip because that'll just fix that problem and you won't have any issues with tendonitis. So There's a thread about the thumbs around grip on our Reddit. You can read through that. It takes about 3 workouts to get used to it, and then you'll never go back, and you won't ever get tendonitis. So work on that. And yeah, you're missing like that much. You just got to sit back a tiny bit, right? And just make sure those knees are jacked out hard. Okay. Work on that. Do the pause squats. If the knees come in, don't go up and wait, right? Fix it and then go up and wait. And just make sure when you're at the bottom, you've got some weight back on your heels because it's just too much on your toes. The other thing is the knee slide video. I think it's called Let's Get to the Bottom of Your Squat. It's on YouTube. I'm sure I've sent it to you before. And it's down here at the bottom of the page. What should the knees and hips be doing in the squat? You want to watch that video.
Again, think about them like rubber bands.
There I am. Okay. Explaining the role of the knees, using a tubo or a pipe as a gauge for knee travel. Watch that video. You'll get a better understanding of knee travel and what they're supposed to be doing. They go out and then they stop moving. If they're moving forward on the way down, it's wrong. It's going to pull you forward. You have to sit back. Okay? Good. We're going to keep going, work on that stuff, and let's do another one next week when you think you got it fixed. Okay? All right. Onward. Toxic Avenger. Here we go. Hey, Paul, I last posted a video in August 2023 after returning from a back tweak. You mainly discussed hip drive through the sticking point, but also emphasized getting more weight on the bar and out of my head. I put 100 pounds on the bar and gained about 10 pounds of body weight since last August. Okay. Here's my 270 squat fail. I have failed weight 3 times now. First 2 fails under the novice C, once on the intermediate. Should I keep attempting this weight and reps? I feel like I should be able to squat more than this. I mean, yeah, I got 265 for 5 after a second try. Perhaps this is just technique, mental fortitude. Let's see. Let's take a look. Oh, right. You had the like super clean gym and then the kid stuff everywhere. All right, let's take a look. Okay. Let me watch a few of these. Okay. Yeah, there it is. All right, man. So here's the problem. Couple of problems. I can't tell. Your stance may be a little wide. Okay, that's like an easy one. So you want to make sure the heels are kind of under the shoulders, but it's really hard to tell from this angle. It may be perfectly fine if I was standing behind you. You're not getting to depth at all. You're not getting even close to depth here. Taking too long to lean over. I think we talked about this before. You need to be more horizontal a lot faster. Okay. So you're still a little too upright here. Everything is going forward into the knees. And so you're going to stop right here. Right. So depth is basically like down here. And you are basically up here like this. Okay. And the reason is because all of your weight has gone forward into your knees. If you watch the last form check I just did, it's about sitting back. You need more weight back here right now as you approach the bottom. It's all here and it's all in here. Okay. So you lean over more than you're leaning over. Just put your nipples on the mat. Just commit to it. Get your chest horizontal right away. Lean over, knees go all the way forward and out right away so that by the time you're halfway down, the knees are where they need to be. The second half of the descent, which is the part that's screwing you up, is once the knees are set, then you start reaching back with the hips, sitting back. Okay. So you're going pressure on the toes. And then the second half of the descent is pressure back on the heels. Reach back with the hips, bring that weight back to the middle or even a little bit on your heels. Okay. Because you will never hit depth if you're going into your knees. All right. So let's see here. And then the knees are caving in, which is another issue. You should watch the form check I just did before you. Yeah. So you got knee cave and then let's see the hip drive here. I mean, you actually do a little bit of hip drive, which isn't bad, but your bottom position is just screwed up, and you've kept increasing the weight. So I guarantee you that, and this is not like everybody does this, okay, especially if you train alone, but I guarantee you that all these problems started a while ago with the weight, and you just kept putting weight on the bar, and it kept creeping up, and the knees kept caving in, and you kept not hitting depth, and now you're going to have to go back because the muscles at the bottom of the squat where you haven't been going have not been getting trained. And so you have to back off the weight, and you got to fix that. Those muscles have to catch up. So you're going to have to deload. And what I would do is start with, 95, 135, do a set of 5. And once you dial in that bottom position, we'll talk about that in a second. And then just go up, do 185, do 205, 225, and find the point where your form starts to break down. And then you're going to start there. Okay. Or if you do let's say you get to like 245 and it starts to cave in, go back down to 225 or 235, and where you can do it perfectly and build from there. And do not go up in weight if you're still having these errors. If you're not hitting depth, if your knees are caving in, if you're not leaning over enough, you've got to fix that, but particularly the knee cave. Okay. Because if you don't allow those muscles to get stronger, then they won't. And then you're going to get to, you might get to like 275 squatting 6 inches high with your knees caved in. It's like, you're going to get hurt, and you're not even doing a full squat. So this is frustrating. I know, because I've been there and I see it all the time. But if you back up and fix this, then you're going to blow past whatever you're getting stuck on now, because you're going to be using more muscle mass, okay, and doing it correctly. So for you, and again, we have probably talked about this before, you need to go to hornstrength.com/videos, and you need to watch the pause squat video, and you need to do pause squats. Okay. Did I lose that? Let me see if I have it here. Where is my horn? There it is. Okay. Right back here, pause squats. Okay. On YouTube, full description right here. Everything you need to know. You're going to take it out. You're going to walk it out. You're going to pause for the bottom for 3 seconds. Okay. Way down here with your weight back and your knees out, and you pause and you ask yourself, is my weight on my toes or my heels, or is it balanced, right? In your case, maybe a little on your heels is good. Are my knees out, or did they cave in? Am I all the way down? And is my chest up? Once you feel that, in the pause, you drive back up, and you just need to reprogram what the bottom feels like. And then when you go into your work sets, you insist that you feel that bottom position, that correct bottom position, because now you know what it feels like. You know it's back more. You know the knees have to be out harder. Okay. And if you don't feel that, or if it feels different from what you now know is the correct bottom position, you got to fix it. Fix it on the next rep. If you can't fix it on the next rep, fix it on the next set. And if you can't do that, stay at the weight or go down to a weight that you can and build back from there. Okay. So this is the issue with training in a vacuum, right? It just like when you don't have someone there watching you every step of the way and telling you, what little errors are happening early, then you keep going and you end up with these like big errors, and you're like, what the hell? This guy's making me take 50 pounds off my squat, but you should have fixed it a long time ago. So if you're still having problems and you're beating yourself up, you might be a good candidate for online coaching, for finding a coach that can give you feedback after every single workout. The Starting Strength guys do it. Barbell Logic does it. There's a lot of coaches that do it. I do it occasionally with some people. And I mean, I have a roster of online clients. I want to, but some guys need a couple months of just regular feedback every session so that you can stop thinking about it, and they can tell you objectively what needs to be fixed, what weight you should be lifting, and you get feedback after every workout so that you can fix these problems and move on. But if it's not the budget or anything, you don't have time for, or whatever, you can still fix this stuff, but you got to insist yourself that you got to not let yourself off the hook, and you got to not let your ego get in the way and start adding weight, without fixing the errors, because you're going to end up here and you're going to post a video, once every 3 or 4 months. And then I'm going to be like, dude, what have you been doing? We got to fix this. So again, I know it's frustrating, but we all go through it. Work on the pause squats, film the pause squats, post a video here of your pause squats, and let me verify for you that yes, that is the correct bottom position. And then once you can feel that, you'll know, like, okay, this is my bottom position. And if it doesn't feel like that, I need to make it feel like that. Okay. So work on that stuff. You can have a normal squat day. You can have a light pause squat day if you want, like a light squat, where all you do is pause squat. So you can just drill that form. But I promise you, once you feel it, once you know what the bottom position is, you'll be good. Okay. And you can build back up from there. All right. So good luck with that. Yeah, you've got good, again, I think I got on you that you needed more weight on the bar, and you do, but like, you might be overthinking a lot of things. And, the one thing I want you to overthink is that bottom position. Okay. So drill the pause squats, go up from there, and you can fix it, man. I know you have the potential here for a very good squat. It's just you're training alone, and you don't know what's happening while you're lifting. Right. And you're not getting feedback regularly enough to like nip these things in the bud. So good luck. I'm here to help. Post more videos. Let's do this. You can post every week. Like, just get your videos up, and at least once a week, I'll be able to give you feedback until we dial this in. Okay. But if you post a video again next week, in addition to whatever work set you do, I want to see a set of pause squats. Because if you don't have those right, we got to fix that, because that's going to be the thing that corrects your form. Okay. We got to move on. Thank you for posting. All right. I don't know. We've got comments here. Someone else is throwing coaching in. Looks to me like you need to say, okay, yeah. All right. Dick, back. Oh, Dick, you're writing too much, man. All right. Happy New Year. I hope this is a relaxing break. Didn't trash a pre-Christmas cut. Yeah, it's been a time. It's been pretty hectic. Moving on to the deadlift. You previously helped me with my forms in separate thread. I've been desperate, trying to hit 500 for the last 3 years. Some quick history. I backed off the weight to 180. All right. Let's see. Intermediate B. However, I got stuck at 182.5. I did fine, but my workout reps were cheap. Did over 3. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to skim these quickly. We got a few of these to get through. In desperation move, I went to triples and have managed to get 27. Did 200K for a double last week while my back is rounding. Okay. So this is a light week set of 5 at 160, concentrating on form. Any advice? All right, let's get to the form here. I'll go back and read that when I'm done filming. You guys got to condense these down, especially if we have a bunch of people. All right, let's see Dick, my man, back in action. How do I close that? Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I want to do. All right. Hit me, man. All right. You're on your toes. You're way. So this little tick you have where you rock way forward like that, and then you rock back, that's going to throw you off. You got to stop doing that, because you're going way too far forward. And then when you come back, you're still forward. Like, you shouldn't be pulling from there. All right. So let me see if I can break this down for you. All right, we're going to do the straps. Let me see if I can pause it here. All right. Oh. Yeah, so you've got too much weight on your toes here. Okay? And I'm actually wondering if your hips might be too high. So look how high your hips are, right? Okay. So like, you're about to fall forward. Okay. So I suspect this is an issue mainly of your hips being too high. So, especially in the starting strength world, they hammer this idea that the hips, do not drop the hips, do not drop the hips, never drop your hips when you've got it. But that's assuming that you have the bar in the right place and that the hips aren't too high. And more often than not, that's the problem, is that the hips are too low. And so obviously that's the reason that everybody hammers on not dropping them, because then you have a whole nother set of problems where you start turning your deadlift into a squat. But there are people, it's a smaller percentage, who keep their hips too high. And so the bar is actually behind the middle of their foot, right? And they're essentially doing a Romanian deadlift, okay? Because if your hips are that high, if they're too high, then your knees are already quite extended and you're not going to get the leg drive that you need, because if with your knees extended, the quads have already done some of the work and it didn't contribute to the bar coming up off the ground. So occasionally we have to tell people to drop their hips a little bit, or in your case, make sure that bar, and now you've got a kind of a weird setup here with these mats so I'm sure the plates are falling into like a particular groove. But let me see if I can just show you, see where you are now with your hips that's kind of where I want you. Let's see what you do here. So you end up right there. So you've got, in this position, you have too much weight on your toes. Okay. You're a little too forward and the hips are probably a little bit too high. And so you're not going to get as much leg drive. The other thing is, when you have the hips that elevated and you don't have the big quads to help you off the floor because your hips are so high, then you're requiring the back to do more work, right? The back has to get the bar basically off the ground because the quads aren't helping as much. So if you drop your butt a little bit, you close the knee angle, you're going to get more leg drive. You're also going to get a little bit more slack in the hamstrings to set and arch your back tighter, and then use more quad to get that thing started and put less of the workload onto the spinal erectors, right? And they'll be able to hold that weight with a flatter back because they're getting help from the quads, okay? So let's just walk through real quick the setup here from when we put the bar down, okay? So bar's down on the ground. Now, from this position, the first thing you do is, before you jack your butt up in the air, okay, like there, you make sure you set it down, you make sure the bar is back on the shins, okay? Well, in your case, what I would say is put the bar down, because it looks very close, and I think it's too close to your shins. So put the bar down, and then before you do anything else, before you set your back, before you roll the bar, make sure that your weight is back on your heels. So just from this position, you're just going to rock back this way, okay? And it's a slight shift. The pressure is going to go from here back to here, like 60-40, 60% back on the heels, 40% on the balls of the feet. Very subtle, but you do that first. So get your balance right, and then make sure that once you rock back, the bar is touching the shins, okay? And then you initiate our deadlift launch sequence: breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. And you don't do it where you jack your butt up in the air and rock forward onto your toes, right? Because that's going to undo everything. It's going to push your hips too high. You set the balance correctly, pull the bar back to the shins, make sure your weight's back on your heels. Okay, good, I'm balanced. This is the position I'm going to start the deadlift from. And then take a breath, squeeze your chest up, pause for a second to make sure your back is as tight as it can be, and then push the bar off the ground with your quads, okay? That's it, because you're already, right now, when you have this tick of rocking onto your toes, you're, shifting back onto your heels while you're setting your back and trying to pick it all up at the same time, and you're never getting to the actual most efficient pulling position until you have to get there because the weight is about to leave the ground. When the bar comes off the floor in a heavy deadlift in the correct place for it, but because that's the only way it's going to come up off the ground if it's really heavy. But we want to get you there first so that it's just this very smooth, efficient process from the get-go. There's no momentum. There's no swinging. Okay? So we'll go through one more time, and your hips will end up being lower, and that's okay, because you're going to, like I said, you're going to get more help from the legs. You're just too far out over the bar. So before you do anything else from here, rock back onto the heels. Okay, good. My weight is exactly where it needs to be, 60% on the heels. Okay, good. Don't worry about my hips. They're fine. As long as the bar's touching your shins, take a big breath, squeeze your chest up. Don't rock forward or anything. Don't move your hip. Just stay right there, set your back, and push, okay? And that's the whole issue there, man. Now, your back isn't rounding all that much. And I think, like I said, if you lower the hips, you're going to get a little bit more slack pulling on the hamstrings and be able to arch even harder. So you're like almost locked, right? But because it's not fully extended, there's a little slack as you pick the weight up, it's just going to round. But if you can get that little extra room and fully extend those, like lock the low back, then once it's locked, it's more likely to stay locked on the way up. Okay. So let's keep working on this. I know we can fix it, but you got to get rid of that little tick, and you got to just go back and watch this thing, follow the pattern exactly like I said. Okay. None of this up and back, up and back. That's you can't. There's a time when, an elite powerlifter or somebody can have some kind of thing where they're rolling the bar and they can still get it perfectly. But right now you need to learn how to do it like by the book. And then if hopefully you'll give up on feeling like you need to rock around and stuff. Okay. So let's keep working on that. And this one's not going to be as hard as the squat. I promise. All right, let's keep going. DrKudos. You've checked all my major lift. I was wondering if you check the form of my assistance exercises. Here's a set of LTEs. Thank you for your help. I made great progress. All right, let's see. LTE form check. I don't know if I've done one of these. A little loose at the bottom. Yeah, it was better. Okay, I jumped the gun. Yeah. So a lot of times people kind of drop it at the bottom. You want to stay tight, just like every other lift. These are great. These are great. You want to think about, the one tip I'll give you real quick is from this position, you're leading with your elbows. Okay. You're going to throw your elbows up that way. And then once the elbows get to about, perpendicular to this point, then the forearm then the rest of the arm, the forearm fires up. So it's like elbows to here, right? And then that, and then back down, lead with the elbows. So it's almost like a throwing motion where you're leading with the elbow and then following through with the hand. But I'm like nitpicking here. These are fine. You're not making any of the big mistakes that we see a lot of people make. So if you notice, you're kind of starting you want your elbow or your humerus to be more like here before you start moving this section up. Okay. But it's very subtle right now. A lot of guys make the mistake of letting the humerus, or, the shoulder basically come to this position. They'll go like here and then bench press it up. So you want to go till it's about perpendicular and then follow through, but you're good. These look great, man. Haven't done an LTE check, I don't think. Let me just watch one more. Yeah, nice and deep there. Yeah, you're good. So just let the humerus come a little bit, or the elbow come a little bit closer to perpendicular before you start pressing the bar up. You should be good. All right, we're going to keep moving. We got a lot to do. jeepnsteak. Here's my press. How many more? Okay, we got one more after this. Good. Here's my press to look at. I've been working on making sure I don't lay back excessively late in the set. All right, let's see. Good. You're pulling the hips back, which is great. After on the reset, you move them back to neutral. That's huge. see the bounce. Yeah, keep those. You're losing a little bit of the bounce. It looks like in your wrist, it's absorbing some of it. It almost looks like, I mean, I can't, let me see if I can catch that. I thought I saw your wrist kind of snap back a little bit, but I could just be seeing maybe on that one. Anyway, the thing that's going to make this better is everything looks good. The layback's fine. The thing that's going to make this better is you getting under it more aggressively sooner. Okay. You're kind of hanging back a little too long. This is easy to say and hard to do with weight, right? But if I pause it, see how you're still back here? So the bar is like up here and you're still back behind it like that. Just keep in mind that the sooner you get this way under the bar, the sooner you get your chest, your face, your shoulders forward, and you get that bar over the shoulder joint here, the easier it's going to be. So the higher this goes with you, my camera's not flipped. The higher this goes with you back here like this, the more you're dealing with that extra leverage. The sooner you get underneath it and like behind you, right over your shoulder joint, the more efficient it's going to be. So as much as you can, and again, this is hard to do, as soon as that bar clears your forehead, like gets here, okay, not up here, here, you're thinking about driving face, chest, right, and pulling the hips back, slamming your face to the mirror in front of you. Just dive under the bar. Get it behind you. Like that bar ideally should be scraping the top of your baseball hat as you come underneath it. Like it should just, because you're diving under. And that way you're under it. And so most of the rep is going to be in the efficient position versus what you see a lot of guys do, which is here. And then they hang back and they're doing all the work, right, with this leverage, and it's just hard. And then right at the end, they get the brilliant idea to come underneath it, and it just shoots up. It's like, don't wait till it's here. Get under it down here, right, as soon as you can, so that as much of the rep is done the easy way. That's the goal, okay? So very common, like this is probably the most common. Once you have the form down, you're not making it. See how you didn't get under it till you locked it out, right? So you think I know that you probably think like, yeah, I'm getting under it. But when I yell at you, if I'm standing behind you and I yell at you, like dive under the bar sooner, right away. Like if it scrapes your forehead, great. Okay. And then you'll feel a rep that just flies up because you got it over the balance point sooner than you typically do. You didn't wait till you're almost at the end. Okay. So you're going to have to exaggerate it. It's going to feel like you're being ridiculous with how aggressively you're trying to get under it. Right. But just try it, just humor yourself and you'll be like, oh my God, that was so much faster and easier. And you can think about the way that the movement, right? Like this. Okay. So, and again, my hands are backwards here because I don't know how to flip this new camera, but let me see. Yeah. The bar is going to go back and you're going to go underneath it. Okay. So you go forward and the bar goes up and back. In other words, I'll just draw it. This is easier. You're thinking about the bar path. Let me see if I can go here. As you push, you're thinking about the bar kind of going this way, right? Behind you. And you are going this way, forward. Bar goes back here. You go forward. And I would usually stand behind my clients and snap and be like, push the bar back to me and you push your face to the wall as hard as you can. Not just your head, everything. Dive under the bar and push the bar behind you and you will feel it just fly up when you get it right. So give it a shot. The rest of it looks great, man. Thanks for posting. Hope the dogs are good. Okay, last guy. I got another comment here. I think what do we got? Strong pressing, way out in front of your face, try and push. Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah, if you guys want to leave comments about the coaching part, let's just do that after the video because it just clutters this whole thing up. And, once I post a video up, you can go in and chat about technique and stuff, but it's a little bit distracting going through these. All right. Little late to the party, but I'll post anyway. I posted my squat on the Intermediate B last week. I got some feedback from a mindset perspective. Okay. Still dealing with a minor back tweak after this set. I think I lose tightness and dive bomb on the second rep. I also use the thumbs around grip because the bar feels Like it wants to move. Use the thumbs around grip. That's what I like. Okay. Did I lose tightness? Thank you for the too long didn't read. Did I lose tightness? Am I leaning forward enough? And is my form so terrible that it contributed to the tweak? The tweak, no way. I mean, sometimes, but like I've seen tweaks on absolutely perfect reps, and I've seen guys get away with murder with bad reps. So there's usually never a association. I mean, if you're grinding, maybe. Okay, let's watch. Depth looks good. Okay. Let me take this whole set in before I comment. Taking a little too long to lean over. Overall, before I say anything, these are pretty good. So I think your toe angle could come out a little more. I think your toes might be a little bit, or just leave your toes where they are and rotate your heels in slightly, just like a little bit. That'll help jack the knees out because you're having a hard time getting your knees all the way out. Actually, what I would do, the post is blocking me here, but I think what I would do is have you bring your stance in about an inch to 2 inches and then point the toes out a little more. Okay. And then focus on really jacking the knees out as hard as you can. And you got the bar rolling on your upper back. So if we watch that rep and we pay attention to this part, right, you're going to see that bar dump up on your neck. And we can talk about that. So as you lean over, that bar, the elbows come up and the bar rolls up, and then you're going to have to lean over. The hips are going to shoot back. So mainly the thing here is fix your stance, bring your feet a little closer, point the toes out a little more. As you lean over, right, shove the knees out harder, like really hard, okay? But the toe angle will help you do that and the narrower stance. And then you got to fix your upper back position. So that bar probably needs to come down about an inch on your back. It looks like it's a little too high. And if it's too high, it's going to roll up as you squat. And you got to set the upper back, right? So notice how it kind of caves in on the way down and rolls up, and then you're screwed. What you want instead is when you walk it out, okay, so get the bar down about an inch lower. And then in this position, see if I can do this your direction. Here we go. In this position, okay, you're here and your upper back is kind of rounded. Before you do anything, you're going to take a big breath. You can actually do this before you unrack the bar. You're going to take a big breath, right? And then chest up. Okay, you're going to arch your chest. You're going to, where's my thing? Okay, you're going to arch your back, right? Set that upper back in extension. And then with the chest up, you're going to lift the elbows as high as they'll go. And it's not going to be much. If you drop the chest, you can jack your elbows way out. But you collapse the up. But if you keep the chest up, that's the limiting factor. So it's here, and then elbows just are going to do that, like very slightly up. And that just builds the shelf, right? So now I'm here, chest up, elbows up, chin tucked. Once you have that set, then all you have to do is maintain it, right? But it's easy to set that before you unrack the bar. And while you're standing up at lockout, you take a breath, and every single rep, you reset that upper back position. Chest up, elbows up, chin tucked. Okay, good. Now you just hold it, right? So when you lean over, you don't give that up. This is a very, very common problem. You're here, and then as soon as you start thinking about squatting, you just let the chest cave and the bar rolls up and you dump it up on your neck, and then you're screwed, okay? Everything's going to fall apart after that. If this is the position that you set at the top of the rep, this should be the same position you're in at the bottom of the rep. You're just going to be more horizontal, right? But you can be leaned over and still have your upper back tight, okay? And just like that. Think about a deadlift, right? You're very horizontal, and yet you're squeezing your chest up. So if you get to the bottom, right, and you've lost that position because you let it cave immediately, which a lot of people do, it's a mess. So the way you fix this, again, is with pod squats, okay? If I told you about this before, I'm going to repeat it. HORNSTRENGTH.com/videos, pause squat, go to the YouTube channel, read the description of the video on YouTube, and it will tell you exactly what to do. But the key thing that you're going to take away from this is that when you go down to the bottom and pause, one of the 3 questions you're asking yourself is my chest up, arched, and tight? Are my knees out as hard as they could be? Am I balanced? So those are all 3 questions. But in your case, the do I have that same chest up, elbows up, tight upper back position at the bottom that I had at the top? And when you get down there, you're going to realize on the first time you do this that no, I'm like, you've got an empty bar on your back, but you're rounded. And so while you're paused, you think, can I fix that? Yes. Oh, okay. So then now when you do the next rep, you want to get all the way to the bottom, pause for 3 seconds, and not have to reset that position because you were able to hold it. So you need to learn how to set your upper back tight and then how to lean over and do the entire descent of the squat without letting that round. And that with the stance and insisting on your knees out, I mean, that'll fix everything. It's hard, but you got to drill it. But you need to, the pause squat is how you learn whether or not you've lost something on the way down because you have time. You're thinking, it's lightweight. And you got 3 seconds to be like, oh yeah, my chest, I did let it round. Okay, let me try and keep it. Let me try and hold it at the bottom. That does not mean you're going to maintain a vertical back angle. You still have to lean over. It just means you're not letting go of this arch in your upper back and dumping it on your, dumping the bar and raising the elbows. You're holding this position and you're just hinging over at the waist, right? But you can keep it up, right? There's those 2 things aren't connected. Okay, so practice pause squats. There's instructions. Do it. Empty bar, couple sets with like lightweight, and just learn the bottom. Learn how to stay tight at the bottom. Knees out, right? If the knees caved in at the bottom and you can shove them out, fix that, and then feel it, register it, come back up, and then every rep after that, the goal is to be able to go right to the bottom position and just sit there and be bored because you don't have to adjust anything. Your balance is perfect. The knees are perfect. The upper back extension is perfect. And then you just come back up. And then now when you move on to your work sets, you have a frame, you have a goal, a frame of reference, a benchmark. So you go down to the bottom, you're like, oh, I felt the bar roll up on my neck on that one. I guess I must have let it go. Okay. And it's just drilling with pause squats. So work on those things, spend some time with the pause squats, post another video, and let's keep dialing it in. Okay. I've got to get out of here. I'm sorry, guys. This was rushed and chaotic, and I'm all over the place. It's been a really hectic week, but thank you so much for joining me. And I don't know when I'm going to be back in Idaho, but we're going to keep doing this. And I hope the audio recorded. I'm about to find out, dump this in the editing software. We'll see. So if this sounds terrible, I'm sorry, and I'll get all the bugs worked out for the next one. But thank you guys for participating. And like I said, I know it's a little rushed this time, but we've got a lot going on. So thanks for your support and your patience and for being a part of it. And I will see you guys next week for sure. Well, let's plan for next week. All right. You guys have a great week, and I'll see you soon.